Hey dude, if you clicked on this video, you might be a fan of Armaf, or at least cologne in general, or Dior Sauvage. If that's the case, I have a treat for you. I wore this for an entire week, and I want to tell you all about it. This is the greatest smelling channel on YouTube, J-ROYL. I'm James, and I do weekly fragrance videos ranging from reviews like this to comparison videos, and my personal favorite, lists. If that sounds like something you'd be okay committing to, then hit that subscribe button and the cute little bell icon to ensure you're getting notifications on my dope videos. But enough preamble, because you guys can get a little bit impatient sometimes. The pride of Armaf, pour homme. Is the name appropriate? Well, let's get into it. There are two different versions of this one, and I picked the one for men. I do identify as a cisgendered male. To cut to the chase, I like this, and I'll tell you why. To start with, the bottle, it feels pretty premium considering it's cheap as f***. It's nice and heavy, so if you skipped a gym day, then you can get a little bit of a workout. The cap, it clicks into place. It's not magnetic or anything like that. The note breakdown is perhaps a little bit familiar with main notes of bergamot and tonka, lemon, and vanilla. It has one of my favorite combinations of sweet and fresh, which comes across as masculine, but also inviting. Peeps on the internets have been comparing this fragrance to something called Dior Sauvage. Ever heard of it? There are a few different versions of Dior Sauvage with different concentrations, although there's no real ambroxan or pepper in Pride of Armaf. But this definitely gives me Dior Sauvage Eau de Parfum vibes. The EDP version of Sauvage is a tad bit smoother and deeper than the original one. Not as much alcohol smell and not as much of a strong pepper off the top, but it's still pretty strong. So when it comes to Pride of Armaf, the scent style is extremely similar, and in certain ways, it's actually a tad better, dare I say. Now hold up, before I get demolished in the comments, I'm not going ahead and saying that this $30-something fragrance is better than that $100-something fragrance, but I would argue each one has its own pros and cons. I want to do a very quick comparison before I give you my final thoughts. First being price. Oh wait, I already talked about that. But just to recap, Pride of Armaf is less than half the price of Dior Sauvage in any concentration, whether you're going EDT, EDP, P, or very cool spray. Secondly, we got exclusivity, which goes to Pride of Armaf, because everyone knows Dior. Big deal. But if someone asks what you're wearing when you're wearing this, you can tell them you're rocking a fancy Middle Eastern fragrance. Okay, that one was bullshit. Pride of Armaf smells good. Unlike some other budget fragrances, it's pleasant from start to finish. The opening is surprisingly nice. Not a ton of that cheap alcohol smell you can sometimes get with these cheap fragrances. It's a much easier wear than the original Sauvage Eau de Toilette. In fact, I got a compliment wearing it this week. The compliment came pretty early on in my wearing, which further shows that the opening is quite nice. It also potentially explains a bit about its performance. To be honest, the Pride of Armaf's longevity is nothing to sneeze at. It's pretty good, but it does borrow a bit of Dior Sauvage's EDP with its more tame projection. Sauvage EDP is still mega strong, don't get me wrong, but not as obnoxious as the first version of Sauvage. Pride of Armaf is another step towards the more polite side of things. Projection gets quite soft on me after 3 hours. This is actually very comfortable. Another perk. 3 hours of projection is quite fine in most cases until you compare it to the 4 to 6 hours of projection I usually get with Dior Sauvage EDP. It's a no contest. From a value perspective, of course, Pride of Armaf is pretty high, but there is a pretty decent performance difference between it and the originals, so you really have to make that decision for yourself. That being said, you don't always need a massive scent cloud following you, especially when you're in a climate-controlled environment. Oftentimes, it's more advantageous to have a fragrance that's just a little more subtle. You don't want to get fired. The Sauvage DNA is pretty ubiquitous at this point. You're not going to smell all that unique whether you wear that or this. But I'll go ahead and say that currently, this is the closest Sauvage cologne that I've smelt. And I would recommend it to you all! Because I know you're waiting for me to tell you what to do. With that being said, I haven't tried Ventana Pour Homme yet, so could be better. But this is just my opinion. Let's get an opinion from a chick. Is it okay that I called you a chick, Leslie? Come on over. It's Leslie.
Hey.
Could you provide your opinion
I can smell it.
on this fragrance?
Oh,
It's hard to smell.
it's hard to smell.
Okay, so
But it smells like a clean hand.
clean hand. That's good.
Yeah.
So I sprayed the fragrance on maybe 6 hours on this hand, and I've washed my hands like 4 times because the coronavirus is going around. But I have a more fresh sample on this hand.
Yeah.
So don't get too close, eh?
I can smell it from here.
Okay. Do you like it? Do you dislike it?
It's fine.
It's fine. Okay.
Wouldn't be my first choice.
Wouldn't be your first choice. What would you give it on a scale from 1 to 10?
Oh, probably just like a 5.
5?
Yeah, it's just,
Really middle of the road.
yeah.
Okay. You did compliment me once when I wore it this week.
Oh yeah.
You're like, you smell good. But 5 is still not bad, right? 5 is not repulsive.
No, it's not.
It's just a nice smell.
It's not one of your best.
Not one of my
It's not one
best.
of your worst.
Okay, and finally, what makes it not that great? Why is it average and not above or below? Or is that just explaining the fragrance perfectly because it's so boring?
It's yeah, I think it's just smells the same as everything else.
Okay.
Not everything else, but like what everybody wants to smell.
Yeah. She's
Basic bro. Yeah.
wise beyond your years, Leslie. Thank you very much for popping in.
Thanks.
I know the boys watching appreciate that.
Oh dear.
Just because, it's good to have more than one opinion,
Yeah.
right? There you have it, guys. Very average fragrance, although it is still compliment getting, but when put on the spot, yeah, nothing really special about it. But if you have tried the Pride of Armaf, please let me know in the comment section below. Over here, I wore another Armaf fragrance for a week, and it actually changed my thoughts on it. So for all my frag heads watching, try the Scent of the Week challenge. I know most of you have trouble committing to things, but a week isn't all that long. Trust me. Goodbye.